SWTOR is going to bring some changes to how PvP works, and as promised, we'll talk about it tonight and see if we can work through all the various takes, and I'll try not to rant too much about both sides. So that and more on this episode of the SWTOR Escape podcast from newoverlords.com. Our broadcast aspect today is EPC 447. And with me is my co-host, Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Hi, Max. It's going well. We've had our first snow. Have you?
Yes. So this begins like the 6 to 7 months of snow in the Midwest, which I'm
Yeah.
really pleased with.
Yep, we had a little bit of snow. Not too much. Not enough, to have to like shovel. It's still on the ground, but it's not on the pavement.
Yeah, I didn't have to shovel. It's there, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Yeah, we had a great night in R4 tonight. I thought like
We did.
we actually had like a classic raid night thing, which is we were on the second boss. We wiped like 3 more times than we would have expected to because we've been one-shotting it. But that happens sometimes. You just like a confluence of things happen, and you know
Yes.
you just yeah you just have a bad night.
You end up with a
But
veritable
then
conflagration of
yes. But then when we did get to our progression boss, we actually did manage to get him down, which was very fun, and it was fun to get him down. That was like a high stress fight for me because it's a lot of damage all the time. Um,
Nairat. Yes, the wonderful Nairat.
and I mean, we got close to the end, and I remember, I think it was Corley or somebody said 6%. I'm like 6%. Why isn't it 0.01%? Why isn't
What
he
it,
almost dead?
what does he call you? What does he call us? Feckless whelps?
Yes,
You
feckless whelps.
feckless whelps.
Uh, yeah. So when we finish that quest, that boss, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's never do that fight again, but we
Yeah.
will. Because then we went on and were able to take a look at Lady Dominique, which looks like a very interesting fight with lots of getting pushed back great distances and jumping down and jumping up and running up. I think I might get tired of all the running back. I like the knockback stuff and landing and all that stuff, but the running back, because during all that time for me, I mean, I know it's the same for DPS too, but for me, you know, I'm out range and I can't do a lot of healing while I'm running. I can do a few things, but I think the running. So maybe for that fight, I might consider putting the thing back in my spec. But even that's only, it has a long cooldown. So anyway, but I did want to mention something about I was experimenting with. It's basically the second row of the bounty hunter healing ability tree. And
Yeah.
I have been having this ability critical scanning, which increases the critical chance of healing scan by 10%, which is healing scan is it's my big heal, right? And it's I cast it quite a bit. Um, s- but I switched over to this other thing called integrated scanning, which has a different effect, but also tied to healing scan, which is whenever I use healing scan, for the next 15 seconds increases all my healing by 5%. So not as much as 10% crit, but 5% steady all the time. And since it lasts for 15 seconds and the cooldown on healing scan is, what is it? Well, it's less than 15 seconds. It's right now for me, it's 9.7 seconds with alacrity here. We're on the test, we're on the PTS right now, so this might not be my real numbers, but it's less than 15 seconds. So all I have to do is make sure that I never let that 15-second window drop. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's not exactly muscle memory now. I do cast that fairly often anyway, but now I have to make sure I do it like on cooldown.
But
Which,
I mean that's all fine, and I don't even know what you're talking about. But the little green dot that shows up
right. So when it's
is the
on,
cool part.
yeah. So right, so it makes a little
Can you do
green
it on this
like,
character?
what's that? Oh yeah, let me turn it on first. So yeah, that's a thing so everybody can like monitor whether or not I'm actually keeping it up or not because
It
when I
shows up
cast
on her
this,
character.
yeah, it shows up. So
Look,
like a
it's like,
little,
yeah,
yeah, little
look at
green
that.
ball on basically
So
on
we
my
can
the
like
side of my arm.
we can see when it falls off of Seema by looking at her character as she's running
Yeah.
around the room.
You'll be able to tell when I'm rattled and I'm running around and
Oh,
I'm
dots
losing track of
dot's
my
gone.
my stuff.
Your
Yeah.
green little
Which
dot is gone.
which was actually kind of going to be my conclusion, which I think I like it. I'm going to keep it and make it a part of my muscle memory, I think. But to do it on brand new fights where I already don't know what I'm doing, maybe not the best time to change like
What blaster is that on your left hand?
that is
That is a shiny blaster.
I know, and not only that, it looks like it's carved out of plastic with no features.
Which, well,
Um,
hit Z.
Defiant Medtech's offhand blaster.
That's kind of cool.
I don't know why I have it equipped and not the other one, which I
I like the other one is like big and it's got fire coming out of it and it's got a
yeah,
knife on the
yeah,
end with
yeah. Yeah, I did that for you actually because
that is a
you talk
great
so much about having big
blaster.
guns and fire and everything. That's why I did that.
It's a
So
gun, it's a knife gun too. It's got a bayonet coming out of the bottom
right,
and it's a
right,
vibro
right.
blade bayonet. That is
I mean,
killer.
Shay Vizsla would like that gun.
Yeah, Shea Vizsla's got a little story about Shea Vizsla. In fact, we should get to that.
You're gonna
Um,
touch on that. Yeah. So yeah. So let's let me hand it over to you. How has your week been, Max?
It has also been good. Same as last week, my behavior is being driven mostly by galactic seasons. And as such, because it was a galactic season target last week, I did a fair amount of PvP. I did a little bit of PvP every day. Got the daily done on a few different days, and I did GSF, and I did the Zakul chapter 11 or whatever we had to do. So I was doing all of those things. I try to focus and prioritize. Oh, Anathema. Also did Anathema. Anathema is great. Anathema is great on stealth. You basically can kill only the boss fights and skip all the trash in Anathema, which I thought they were sort of like blocking that. And you can do all of the boss fights, including the bonus boss, without killing a single thing. You don't have to like
Hmm.
kill 90,000, mobs in the
Right,
flashpoint,
right. In order to
negating
summon
the
the bonus boss.
right,
Yeah.
negating the purpose of going in there with a stealth character anyway. And it drops a bunch of decos, really cool decos, and some of them you want multiple copies of anyway. It's a great one to go in there and get stuff done.
I have not run Nathema in forever, so maybe I'll give that a shot.
But GSF has been going good. PvP went fine. I, I'm just mediocre in the gear. I've only got 330 gear. It's not even all augmented, and I've got a bunch of accuracy on it. Not full accuracy. I swapped out a couple pieces, but I can still have fun in there and do fine. And it's all 8v8 for the most part, and it's I play Madness. Uh, I also did the PTS today, which we'll talk about. There was a PvP event. I did that, and I brought my Sork over playing Madness, and I did hear a little bit of ranting. Not, I'm sure it wasn't about me, but just about Madness Sorks in general. There are people complaining in general on the PTS. They're gonna nerf those. They just stand around the outside and drop a bunch of dots on people. Yeah, but that's what we do. So play a range class, play a dot class if you want. We Annihilation Marauders need to work for it. Yeah, I guess, but you also get to do 10% more damage than everybody else. Anyway, so you can see where this direction is going to go. So that is going to be our discussion tonight. Before we get to the PvP discussion, though, we should talk about what's up in the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So first up, the devs were on the 7.2 PTS today. They were incognito, so we didn't know who was a dev and who wasn't, but Jackie said she did try to organize a bunch of the devs in there. The PTS was going pretty good, and there were a bunch of queues popping and a bunch of people playing, multiple war zones going on all the time. But then the PvP got into a little bit of a weird state, and the queues got bugged. So they had to go back and forth, and they actually brought down the PTS. It's back up. We're on it right now, and I think they're pushing to get a little bit more PvP going on the next couple days. You might want to jump in there and see if there's people around if you want to do some testing. Couple things that it's very useful to test. One is just trying out the new interface. We'll show you what that looks like and what the new PvP progress and valor and progress along the rewards track looks like. The second thing, which a lot of people were doing, is testing out the balance changes, the class changes. In fact, more discussion was going on around class changes in like general than people were talking about PvP. So that's that. Good place to try it
Interesting.
out.
Okay, and then also I'm going to talk about we have a new short story on SWTOR.com written by, I'll call him JW, who was actually had a short segment on the recent live stream. And it was really an entertaining story, I thought. Got a little bit of a slow start for me, but that was only like the first 3, 4 paragraphs, so kind of not even fair to mention it. But I was entertained by. I really felt like Shay's personality, Shay Vizsla's personality came out, and the fight scenes were very economically and realistically and entertainingly described, I thought.
Yeah.
So I recommend it.
Yeah, it was good. So Jay
And
did
and
a
it
good
had
job there.
heart and it had characters. It was good.
Yeah, it wasn't as character driven as some of the other short stories that we've seen, sort of really, diving into who these people are. Like that last one about Sahar stowing away on the ship was very character driven. This was a little bit more about, action and the fight on Maksha. But it's not all that easy necessarily to write combat and action, and it came out well. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, right down to the final scene where Hutbreaker shows up.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was
Hutbreaker and
cool.
Shea Vizsla. There's a fight in a bar, and then there's a fight out in the streets and the
And it was
alley.
kind of cool to see like the respect that Hutbreaker and Shay Vizsla have for each other.
Yep, it was good, good. Jay also posted in the forums to mention that it's the first of 2 stories about Shea Vizsla that he is going to be posting. So we'll be looking forward to the other one. And also in the news, related to what I said about the PTS being good for testing, the feedback threads are still out there on all the things coming in 7.2, but in particular, class balance. There's a lot of action going on in class balance. The big hot button discussion seems to be around Annihilation for Marauders. And there's multiple discussion points in there. In fact, was it Chris who even described what what they were going for, the rationale, and answered some questions on why Annihilation is done that way and what they're hoping, how would they think it can still work. Chris Durrell. So Chris Durrell made a couple posts in there on the class balance feedback changes. People still aren't all that happy with the way Annihilation changes have worked out. People can get, and I think there's very good rationale for why they made some of these changes. You don't want one of the top parsing specs in the game, which is a dot spec, which should be at the slightly higher than average because it's a melee dot spec. You don't want it also to have a set of utilities spec that you could take that would also make it very powerful burst. You can't be strong burst and strong dot. But the way they decided to tune it back also changed the rotation to some degree, and that doesn't feel good to people right now, the way the rotation has changed. Maybe they'll work through it, people get used to it. That could be part of it. This is something I'll mostly skip over, but there's a couple people posting in here that should be kicked off the forums because there's a dev in here interacting with people, and then it's not everybody. A lot of people are just going back and forth, but there's like a couple people in here who are like, this proves that you know nothing about your own game and are making the stupidest decisions ever. I mean, literally that aggressive. Do you want?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I don't know who this person is and why they think they can talk to anyone in the world that way. But that's ridiculous. It's no way to have a conversation. It's no way to get your point across to say you're dumb and what you're doing is dumb. Explain what you're looking for. Hey, what you've done to the rotation here makes it much more difficult to get what we want. It complicates the rotation. It doesn't feel good. That those kinds of things they can work with. But why would Chris put up with this? Why would Chris come and even bother to read the forums anymore? If that's the way people are going to come across, don't do it. Ugh, man.
So, Starry Saber just commented that wish they would share with the community what their so-called standards they use for judging how classes are performing, and they have shared that.
They have shared in the past. The one thing this discussion thread is asking for is the exact numbers that they're balancing to. I don't think that that's relevant and useful. What they have shared in the past is the tiers. So
Right.
there's the plus 2.5%, plus 5% above, and plus 2.5% or minus 2.5% and minus 5% below. And the way that sort of breaks down is they're going for a baseline. And if you're melee, you get bumped up. Melee burst gets plus 2.5%. Melee, that's the target they're going for. And melee dot specs get plus 5% because you're up in somebody's face. You're taking a lot more damage. You have a lot more. So this sort of like balances everything out. And then minus 2.5% is DPS burst, and minus 5% is DPS ranged. That's kind of the stack that they're going for, and they've explained that. And there's posts that that we could link to, which describe that. It's not. It's very difficult to do, and you can orchestrate situations where it won't seem that way. You can say, well, people are parsing on the IP boss and blah blah blah, and we're not seeing they're 10%. We got nerfed 7% and not 3%. It's difficult, and they could be making mistakes, and that's very valid to sort of see where it seems to be parsing and falling, and make sure that they're not overtuning it.
Right.
In every MMO, classes will get overtuned and undertuned and nerfed bad, and we've got two. Look at all the abilities on our bars. We've got I run with 24 abilities, or actually so less, 21 abilities on my bar. So I've got the abilities on the sidebars that I use as well. So balancing those 24 abilities from class to class to class, you're gonna have mistakes. That's the nature of an MMO. This is not a 5-ability PvP game. This is not Fortnite, which is much more easy to balance because you don't have that kind of, this is not Heroes of the Storm. This is not Overwatch. If you want, esport level balance of classes, and even there, they're not getting it right. They had to take Mei out of rotation in Overwatch because it was unbalanced. There was abilities that were unbalanced. So you're definitely not going to get perfect balance in an MMO. That's not what PvP in an MMO is about. I'm getting a little ranty. Feel free to jump in our Discord, newoverlords.com/Discord, and tell me how wrong I am. Or at me. Go ahead. At me on Twitter. Quick before Twitter explodes and we don't get Twitter anymore. I hear that's about to happen.
When I used to PvP, one of the things that other PvPers, especially like really high level PvPers, would complain about, or I guess it would be better to say people coming from other areas, is they would complain about things like the global cooldown, tab targeting, having a million abilities. It is a different PvP in an MMO is different from PvP in a game that's not an MMO, for sure.
Right. So, class balance, get in there, provide your feedback. Provide the feedback along the lines of what your experience is and how you'd like your experience to be different. Providing feedback that says you're dumb and I think you should be fired, not useful. Providing feedback that says here's my solution.
I think you're preaching to the choir on that.
I know, and yeah, the people that listen to this is for the most part, but
yeah,
pass that along. Yes, thank you, Sir
Yes.
Galahad. If you pen a strongly worded letter on parchment, dear sir or madam, I must say you you should cease your employment post haste.
Yeah.
Sincerely, with Mr. Darth Poopy Pants, which is what all their names are as well. Okay. So also, thank you, chat room, for putting up with this tonight. There might be a little bit more ranting as we go on, and ranting at myself too. I keep going back and forth and realizing I have wrong think on a lot of these kinds of things as well. The chat room is a great does a good job of asking good questions, describing good answers, and putting together lucid points that help us be better podcasters, and we appreciate that. So thank you. If you want to know
Yes.
when to listen to this live, we are live on Thursday nights, usually around 10:30 p.m. Central. We'll probably be taking off next week, won't we, Seema?
Oh, I bet we will. I
American
mean, spoiler alert.
Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving is happening next week, apparently. So we're gonna be all turkeyed up.
Oh, not me. I'm not a big turkey fan.
Well, hopefully you can have some holiday cheer, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I will. I will. I will. I have some holiday cheer right here, right now.
Sweet niblets. Uh, sounds
Well,
good.
I thought you meant of the liquid variety,
I
but
do.
yes.
It is what I was meaning.
Oh,
So have some of that too. Okay. And also, yes, you can join our Discord if you are not live and chat with us in there. I check it all the time. I'm in there most of the day. Not a lot of discussion goes on there, but New Overlord/Discord, you can get in there. We did have some people in there today that were chatting back and forth about the PvP event. Jump in there. Tell me how right or wrong I am. I would love to hear it. We've never had to ban anyone from our Discord yet. I don't expect that we will. But hey, you want to come in there and try? Well, challenge accepted. Boy, I am spicy tonight. And with that, let's get into this.
Game changer.
Game changer.
Game changer?
Game changer for...
Game changer for the industry.
Okay. First, let's take a look at. I lost it. Okay, I've got it here. Here we go. Let's take a look at what they said and what they described, and I've got the video too. If we need to refer back to the video, but the goals for the PvP revamp, and then we'll enumerate some of the features, the things that are changing. If you're not familiar. SWTOR's got a good write-up. Volk's got a good write-up. Zamzam has a great write-up that I was referring to, and I actually I said hi to Zamzam earlier today. I've asked a bunch of people what they've thought. I talked to Kogas. I talked to Zamzam. I watched Biggs's video. So we'll get into all of that as well, what some of the latest takes are. But those are some good places to look. Listen with your ears and your mind to what they're saying in the video. Try not to put your conclusions first when you try to figure out what's going on. First, hear what they're saying and what they're trying to accomplish. Because we don't know. We don't know how it's going to shake out yet. And I'm trying to stay ahead of my expectations as well. Or behind them or aside of them, whatever the case may be. Yes, listen with your ears, Sir Galahad, not those other body parts that you're suggesting. So, what are the goals for the PvP revamp? Increase PvP. This is with the 3 bullets that they said. Increase PvP participation, encourage positive play, and ensure PvP is rewarding. Okay, so they're doing a few things. And the current focus of what everybody's hearing and thinking about when they're hearing that 7.2, that PvP is changing, is they're getting rid of ranked. PvP 7.2, they're getting rid of ranked. That is happening. That mode is kind of going away. It's kind of getting merged in, but that's not what the 7.2 PvP change is. The 7.2 PvP change is bigger, broader, and covers many more goals, redirecting how ranked works in new ways, or getting rid of it if you want to think of it that way, is just a piece of it and feeds into these, but is not all that's going on. This focuses on more. So let's take a look at this for a second, Seema. Increasing PvP participation, encouraging positive play, and ensuring PvP is rewarding. The unspoken parts of this are they're doing this for everybody. So this isn't just for the 96 players who are the top PvPers across all of the servers. One of the things that they seem to be directing these changes for is increasing PvP participation for everybody. An example is free to play. Free to play gets unlimited PvP as much as you want. Get it on. Good. Let's go.
I mean, that's the clear example.
Yes.
But they also are trying to attract people sort of who've stuck their foot in PvP and didn't like their TOA and got scared away, and maybe they'll come back. Or maybe
Right.
people that are playing it a little bit will enjoy it more or something.
This second bullet, encourage positive play. Couple angles. One is we know there was a locus, go ahead and look that up, a locus of negative play, of toxic play. Not everybody, but enough bad apples to spoil that bushel, and getting rid of that or changing that or redirecting that is potentially a piece of this, but there's more. There's more. The way they're redirecting the goals, the way they're redirecting the mission objectives and that kind of thing are also focused around this, and we'll see some of that. And then ensuring PvP is rewarding. They're expanding how this works as well. And it will feel less rewarding to the top 96 again, and to the elite players potentially. And we'll talk about that some. It may feel more rewarding to everybody else. The other, as we said, the other thousands and thousands of players. So those are the goals. The other kind of unspoken pieces of this that we kind of need to think about as well is, where's the Venn diagram? You draw that Venn diagram of the people that are playing ranked, which is this tiny little circle here, and the people that play unranked, which is this giant circle over here, and then map that to where they were spending time and effort. And I get that there's people that say, no, it's super easy. They barely had to do anything to ranked ran itself. That's not true. It's not true. There was tons of time and effort that they had to spend organizing the season, creating the rewards, doing the administration on the queues, the ranks, cleaning up the win trading, tracking down the cheaters, battling that effort for years and years and years. So we'll get to some of that. What they have the opportunity to do now is anything they do, they can now direct it for everybody. So we'll see some of that when we look at sort of the rewards and the reward track for PvP. So that's a piece of it. So when they got to this was condensing the queues. So there was unranked and ranked. There are no more queues. Those two queues don't exist anymore. That kind of means ranked is going away, but it also kind of doesn't. All the ranked players can still play against each other. They can still play 4v4. There are ways for ranked players to put together. Now, solo ranked, I guess not so much, but people hated solo ranked anyway. I guess some people will say that they didn't, but that was one of the most toxic areas because you would get people trying solo ranked and then you would lose your match and you would tell that person who tried it out with you to never queue again and go home and delete all your characters in less flattering terms than that. Team 4v4, you can still do that. You can do that all day. You can put together, you can get in a channel and say, hey, Guild X, put your 4 people up. We're going to queue up now. We're going to do a challenge mode, and I'm going to challenge your team. You're going to challenge my team. We're going to play best of 3 matches or best of 5 rounds. We're going to keep track on a separate website. I'll get into some of those other ideas I have, but you could still do that. What you will not get, what goes away, is the ranking system itself, the little number, and the exclusive rewards. So here's the downside, and here's what I think about this. There are people that love this, and this is what they did, and this is how they played. And when anything like that goes away in a game, that makes me sad.
Me too. Yeah.
So
I feel for them.
Yeah. If they somehow took away RP, so you couldn't, they took away chat, /say and /emotes, so all the RPers couldn't do their RP thing anymore, I would be sad. If they deleted operations from the game and said, we're never having an operation again, that would impact me personally. I would be sad. There are people that were really passionate about this. And this mode, this opportunity going away for those people,
it's a bad day for them.
It's a bad day, and it sucks. So I get that. So I sympathize with when something like that goes away. Is there a path forward? I think there might be.
I mean, they have done a similar thing for ops, right? They're not doing Nightmare. They're not doing Master Mode ops, so.
And things change. Is there a path forward if you'd still like to do competitive PvP in Star Wars: The Old Republic? I think there is. And we'll get to some of that. Again, making it rewarding. Galahad, there will still be leaderboards. No, there will not be leaderboards. So the ranking and the leaderboards, that's going away. That's part of this. And that's what the ranked players are. That's a key part of it that they're lamenting. And
right.
I get that. That's what they prepare for. That was the enjoyment they got, is sort of getting that rank and showing it off and getting the exclusive reward that they could show off after the fact. That's rough. This seasonal structure, here's some of the rewards that we're talking about. And now here's rewards that are available to everyone. So let's take a look at this. So this is in the game now on the PTS. You can get into the PTS and you can take a look. Open up, click your new little bar on the lower right under your mini map, which is completely customizable. Remember, we can have 20 clocks or whatever. One of them, which shouldn't be a clock right now, should be your queuing for PvP and war zones. If you click on that, you can open up the PvP season tab. It's also in the same place that the login rewards track is and the Galactic Seasons track is. But PvP season now has a rewards track. How do you rank up on these PvP season rewards? You rank up by completing dailies and weeklies, doing matches. If you're a subscriber, you progress twice as fast. And each of the levels as you go through the season get you different rewards. There are 2 things that you get. You're getting rewards directly, and you're getting PvP season tokens that you can take to a vendor to buy additional rewards of your choice. So even if you didn't make it all the way through, if you got enough seasons to get enough tokens to get the one weapon that you wanted, you could. Pros and cons to this system. Something to keep an eye on and watch for is there are participation rewards. You could progress on this track very, very, very slowly just by participating, even if you only lose. You can also pay credits. You can pay credits to catch up. Very, very, very many credits, but you could just pay credits to catch up. So like here, I think we can catch up only up to level 13 out of the possible 25. So catching up halfway through the season is 46 million credits to get to level 13. And it goes up exponentially from there. I would expect, hundreds, if not something like 1 billion credits to go all the way through 25. Hey, big credit sink. People buying their way through this is fine. So let's look at some of the the flip side of this, which is the dailies and weeklies, which is how you progress through those rewards. They are heavily skewed to winning. Wins count as 3, and then there are the objectives, like the daily and weekly objectives for the PvP queue. Let me go back to it. Open up my PvP window. There's only one of the progress objectives that you can get only by losing. The other 2 of the possible progress objectives, PvP season, here we go, objectives. So here, we're just doing arena. You can earn at least 8 medals in 6 arena matches. At least 8 medals in 6 arena matches. That will give you 100 points of progress. So this is out of 3. The second one is playing 10 matches. If you play 10 matches, whether you win or lose, you can get 100 points. And then winning 2 matches gets you another 100 points. So if you only lose and you're not very good, or you go in and you AFK, you will get at best 1/3 of the potential progress. And then on the dailies and weeklies, you're getting 3 times the progress for winning versus losing on the dailies and weeklies as well. So that's good. I mean, what do you think of that, Seema? I mean, do you
feel
think
like
that times 3 is enough?
I feel like in a way putting this on a reward track is kind of brilliant because they can dial it up and dial it back really easily. Because before we used to have this ongoing conversation, PvP. Why can't we? Why do we have to win a match? And then the answer would be, well, because if we don't do it this way, then this and that and the other thing. And now they can just, if it's too hard, they can dial it down. If it's too easy, they can dial it up. It doesn't have to be just like win or lose.
Right. So you can progress by doing arenas, which are the 4v4. You can progress by doing the war zones, which are the 8v8. Again, it's medals, it's played, it's winning. That's how you progress. And heavily skewed towards winning. Great. Good.
I mean, it'd kind of be interesting if they could figure out a way to do that with PvE as well. I know they're doing a lot of creative things with the Galactic Seasons targets, but how weird would it be if you got more points for doing something if you did it, I don't know, with faster or something?
Sure, like some sort of challenge modes. Well,
Yeah.
Well, they kind of have that though, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. Because
Flashpoint.
like if you do higher difficulty things, you get more points for them. That's true.
Yeah, if you do. Yeah, if you do
like right now, there's one where if you do, you get Galactic Season if you do Black Hole or Onderon weekly, but you have to do the Black Hole weekly twice.
Right.
To the Onderon weekly once.
Or the Flashpoint one, you can get it done in one Flashpoint if you do all the bonus bosses and you do it in Veteran, but you might have to do, you might have to do 3 or 4 Flashpoints if you're only going to do it in story. So yeah. So there's a reward track. There's the armor sets. So here's a picture of the armor sets. Some people aren't all that thrilled about the armor sets, but not every armor set is necessarily going to be a super winner. I think these have a certain aesthetic, a storied aesthetic, which fits with kind of like the hut ball kind of aesthetic. I like the glowy stuff on it. Is it the Furious Gladiator armor with fire on it? No, but it's a thing and it's a reward, and you can't please all of the people all of the time with any of this. And so I know there are going to be people that say, well, I don't even like it. I don't even like it. And then related to all of this, which is something for everyone, is there is a new Warzone map. It's an arena map. It's a 4v4 map. So if you don't like to play arenas, then it's not going to be for you, I guess. But it looks really, really good.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
And we talked about this last week. I want it to be turned into a stronghold.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
All right. So So this is where we stand. This is what it is. This is what we've got so far. Let's talk about what some of the takes are, some of the ideas. What are people saying about this? There's a few places where you can go and see some of these takes. Biggs was a well-known streamer who streamed ranked. He had a video that he put up. He was quite disappointed. I think he's, for now at least, is saying that he's done with it and he's going to step away, and he's he's not participating in the discussion at this point. He could come back. It could change. He's been a positive force in making PvP interesting and popular, so that is a loss. And then there's a couple other the ranked PvPers who are in their streams have put together some videos or put together a stream or talking about it in their streams. A lot of the hardcore ranked players are negatively impacted because this was their thing. So you're gonna get pretty raw takes from a lot of them.
I mean, I just want to say again, I do feel for them. I have wanted to quit games for less.
Yeah. Right.
So
And I have.
I get it. Yeah.
Especially as games where I wasn't very invested in it. And
well, sometimes the game that I'm over invested in
True.
is the one where the tiny little change hurts the most.
Well,
so.
that can generate that most rage. You don't rage quit, a game that you barely.
Or grief.
Nobody rage quits Candy Crush. You just stop.
Yeah.
Nobody. Well, maybe there are people out there that are emotionally invested in Candy Crush. Nobody rage quits. Well, I was going to say the New York Times crossword puzzle. Yes, people rage quit that all the time. Nobody rage quits tic-tac-toe.
But there is a special thing when you are playing your character that you've created and that you've sort of lived in the skin of.
Right.
It's different from crosswords and Candy Crush.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, no one in particular, but across like people that I've seen on the PTS and people I've seen in the forums and it's people I've seen in videos, there's a bunch of discussion going on, and there's parts of their arguments that I don't get, and I don't think are the best way to think about it just yet. One of the things is a lot of people like to say, and I think they're even being a little dishonest with themselves, but they like to say, I like to play it because it was hard. I was just in it to play it because playing it was fun. If that's 100% true and that's all you wanted, then you can still have that because you can. There's duels, there's 4v4, there's challenge modes. You could even do random challenge modes where you roll the dice in a spreadsheet, put together random teams and a side Discord, and then challenge, group v group in arenas and go play for a night. There's extra work, but that's player created content. And sometimes that's better than game created content. You could still do it. But that's not all. That's not all. And you as people talk about it, and if they're honest with themselves, and I don't think this is bad, but they liked the exclusivity of their mode, and they liked the exclusive rewards, the titles, the physical rewards, the flair. They liked those exclusive rewards. That's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. And being able to sort of show that off, we could sort of scoff at that and say, well, you should just be playing it to have fun. No, getting a rare exclusive reward because you worked really hard at it, that's a really fun part of a lot of games. I don't have the Wings of the Architect. I don't have the Brontes mount. If I did and I earned it, especially, back when it first came out, you bet I would sort of show that off and feel really cool, because I would be. And the people that did get the top 96 rewards and do ride around on the Furious Gladiators Rancor, I think that's cool. So I think it's okay for that to be a reason. And that is something that's going away. And that is a valid reason to miss it.
Mhm.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But be honest with yourselves as well. That is a key reason. It's not just for the fun of it. If it's because you can still have that fun. You can even, and this is sort of I'm trending towards ideas and solutions here. From an outside perspective, there have been PvP tournaments in the game that I've seen in the past. Some of those PvP tournaments have been some of the best PvP content I've seen over the years. You get these PvP dueling tournaments; they're all player run. There's a rank of who winners and who wins, and everybody's listed, and they're streamed, and it's something everybody can watch because it's in public areas where people can watch. Why not build on that? Why not make your own leaderboard, put together challenge modes, put together have tournaments, have a 4v4 tournament where people sign up with their team and then they have to go play
But
within a
maybe you
period of
just
time.
want to play though.
Okay,
I
but you
mean,
but you
like
can
in the
play.
beginning, you said this takes a lot of effort on the part of
It
BioWare.
does.
It would take a lot of effort on the part of the players too.
It does. It does take a lot of effort on the part of the players. But how did rank get to the point where it was, where we talk about how rank was toxic? I think that's a little bit on the players as well. There are plenty of
Yeah.
ranked players out there that were not toxic and welcoming and would be good, but I don't think there were enough of them that were anti-toxicity to the point where they were pushing out the toxic players to actually make it an interesting, welcoming, good competitive environment.
Right.
So because you didn't do the work to keep the pool clean originally, the pool got shut down. Yes, it's work to create a new pool on the side and go swimming. Now I'm stretching the analogy here, but
Well, I mean,
you-
yeah. I mean,
you didn't do
'cause
the other work and it broke.
it's sort of like what we run into in our, our leadership roles in a gaming community is like you want everyone to be happy and you want the atmosphere to be, easygoing and welcoming, like you said. But if it isn't, you have to take the hard actions
Right.
to
Yeah.
protect it and keep it going the way.
Block people, ban people, report people.
Yeah.
And a lot more of that could have been going on. People can also say, oh, it wasn't very toxic. That's another part of this that's sort of been thrown
Right.
around.
Right. I mean,
It was.
I guess that is an argument, right? Like it's not that bad and you just need to get thicker skin, which
Right.
maybe that's true too, but it's also like maybe BioWare doesn't want that to be part of their world.
Right. And maybe it was worse than you think, because you were just sort of, you as a non-toxic ranked player were just sort of turning a blind eye a little bit. Any of my, our community, we know that weren't regular ranked players, and that we'll get to some of the other opinions. There's a write up on Volk's website by a player who sort of describes this by Endone. If you queued in to a 4v4 solo ranked queue and you weren't known, you were a noob and nobody recognized your name, you would get
They
primaried.
Right. This community is small enough that if they would know immediately that you were new by your name.
So you would get primaried and you would get murdered. And then,
Because you're not in the in crowd.
right. And if you get an entire team, bursting you down, you could get killed. And especially if you're relatively new to it, you're not a super expert, you're not playing the most survivable class, fine, you get primaried. Then the people on your team go, you're terrible, never queue again. Your class is terrible, in less flattering terms than that. And everyone who is not a regular ranked player that has played has had this happen to them in the past year. of again, anecdotally, and pure plural of anecdote is not data, but everyone in our community that has jumped into those rank queues to try it out has been told to stop queuing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good, and nobody, you can say it was welcoming and or whatever, but it kind of wasn't. One other thing I sort of wanted to get at there and address was I'm hearing, this is coming up on the forums of, well, now the toxic players are going to be in regs and, you're not going to like that. Well, first off, ranked players played unranked also. They didn't only play ranked. They were playing unranked because ranked queues weren't necessarily always popping, for one. For two,
And you're right. We aren't going to like that. We didn't like it before.
right. If that's your argument that they're just toxic people and now they're going to be toxic elsewhere, well, then they should be banned and they should be kicked out and they should be blocked and they should be removed from the game.
Right.
You don't get to
Right.
You can't hold regs hostage to try to get ranked put back by saying, no, now we're going to come be toxic across, we're going to come be toxic everywhere unless you bring ranked back. That's a terrible argument. And I know, again, not everybody's saying this. And so on that side, it going away sucks. It was a thing that the, great, Kogus, good. I like Kogus. We've hung out at Star Wars Celebration. The fact that he doesn't get to the ranked thing to do anymore specifically, or that it's changed so drastically, that kind of sucks. That does. It sucks. Is there a path forward? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Is there a path forward beyond what's happening in 7.2? Might a version of ranked be able to come back in the future? Maybe. Is that something we could think about or work with BioWare on or come up with ideas on, or might they be able to evolve to that? Maybe. Are there tools that BioWare could offer? So Star Saber was suggesting in the chat room that idea of, self player run tournaments. There are some tools in the game, like here I could flip over, I could show you. If not everybody even knows what this is and how it works, but there are tools in here where I can say issue challenge. I can have a group and you can have a group and I can say issue challenge. Not very many people know, all the ranked players probably know about what this is, but not many people know about this. You can then queue up a custom war zone just for your two groups, go into it and play. That's an example of a tool that helps support things like tournaments. That's not all you need if you want an easy way to run tournaments and have them, have scorekeeping and sign up and, tracking of ranks and things like that. That's certainly not all that you need. Could we ask BioWare for more tools to be able to get something very close to a version of what ranked offered, with more of those kinds of tools that maybe would be even better, that would allow you to manage the community and manage the players, manage the queues.
Right.
Schedule.
Maybe there could be a leaderboard tool where maybe BioWare could keep a leaderboard that was everybody. But if you wanted to, you could have a leaderboard of just your guild.
Maybe a calendar tool to schedule times. So
or a calendar tool,
when ranked, when challenge, when challenges are going to be issued and offered and people are going to be coming together, you could stage a challenge time on a calendar and say, tomorrow, Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central for 2 hours, Sanctuary is going to be open to all challengers. Come and bring it on. Maybe there's those kinds of tools, or maybe ranked of the way it stands today comes back in a slightly different way that offers maybe some more of these kinds of community management tools within ranked differently. They tried for a long time. They spent a lot of resources. They weren't able to get it to work at this point. They're trying to go this direction so that they can invest in the entire community. That doesn't mean it can't come back in the future.
Right. in
Uh,
some form.
as I said, Zamzam's got a write up. Volk's site has that article from Endone, which sort of talks about some of the con side, why removing rank is potentially good or a smart move. Um, some of these things, some of the arguments that I've been saying are documented in there. They're part of the discussion. So that's a why you could sort of see the other side to some degree. But not all of that is necessarily. It's certainly not all 100%. I mean, you could say like one of the key bullet points is ranked is toxic. As a whole, it was toxic, but the percentage of people that were toxic is actually very, very small. So it's hard, from the inside. I'm sure it was very, very hard to think of or feel like ranked was toxic. Because also, if you were a very good PvP player, people are going to be much less toxic to you. Not non-toxic. It's still out there, but it only takes a couple of very toxic players to really ruin an environment. And again, maybe that's the fault of BioWare. Maybe that's the fault of the community not being able to sort of police it on their own. But there's pros and cons. There's two sides to each of these arguments on either side of where this is falling. So I want people to be thinking about that, about both sides. And then finally, I think one of the things I think it's behooves us all to do is to see where this goes. 7.2 is not here. This hasn't come out. We don't know what this is going to look like. It may suck, and all of the ranked players may just not get any satisfaction out of it, and that and leave the game. That will suck. I would encourage anyone to not yet come to a definitive conclusion. 7.2 is not here. This isn't out. We haven't felt the changes. We haven't felt what it's like to have unlimited free-to-play players in there able to participate, maybe in really hot competitive arenas. We haven't felt what it's like to have this new kind of reward track and something to go after and progress to make every day up a reward track. We haven't felt it, like even ranked players haven't really felt what it's like to be able to play and play in a way where you don't have to worry about your rank also. So I don't know. We don't know yet. We don't know what it's going to be like when 7.2 drops, and we don't know what it's going to be like 6 months from now or 12 months from now. If it makes sense to take a break, or you need to step away because it feels bad, that's I feel that, and I think that's sad for the community, and I hope that happens rarely, and I hope we get people like Biggs back. But I don't think that that's necessarily wrong if that's the way they feel.
Right. I agree.
Not think that anybody should be forced to put up with a game mode that they don't prefer, or play a game that they don't want to play. But I would love to have those kinds of strong players and leaders in the community out there making the new world of 7.2 PvP. PvP isn't just ranked. Make PvP in Star Wars: The Old Republic something interesting, something cool, and something good for everybody. All right. So kind of long, kind of ranty. I'm sure plenty for people to disagree with as I'm going back and forth. Plenty of people. And, I was rambling for half of this as well. So I'm sure you could pick apart as you were going through and be yelling back at the 10 people that are going to bother to listen to me rant about this anyway. But I'm open, and I'm not coming to any final conclusions. And I have asked and continue to ask, and I was on the PvP server today asking, what do
The
people think
PST,
about it?
yeah, PTS.
I was on the
Yeah.
PTS with the PvP event. Yeah, I was on the PTS asking, what do people think about it? What are you feeling? What is it? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think something can still work out after 7.2? I was disappointed that there was at least a couple people that were in general chat on the PTS that were relatively toxic, saying, well, only scrubs would even bother to play 8v8 because you stupid, terrible people, shit players. That was a term that was thrown around. Only shit players are going to play 8v8. So it's still there. It's still around. That kind of sentiment, and I don't think that that's all that positive. And I didn't see any, of the hot ranked players saying, "Hey, don't come across that way."
Right.
But we could, and I could have too, and I didn't. So maybe that's something that all of us can, be a change that we want to take forward. I have done that when people are using inappropriate language and discriminatory and, especially on the starter planets when things can get bad. I've reported players for bad behavior, asking nicely for people to sort of be better, for all of us to be better. That might be at least a start. So I will do that.
I mean,
as
for
well.
that person who's on the PTS using terms like shit players, I hope that person understands that that's why they cannot have nice things. That
And there
is
you
the
go.
behavior right there.
This is why we can't have nice things. But maybe we got some other nice things, and maybe we can get some nice things back in the future. We'll try. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Please subscribe to my newsletter. All right. Anything else?
I wish you had a newsletter.
Anything else before we wrap up for this evening on this very special edition of Star Wars: The Old
After
Culture
school
Escape
special.
Pod?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think we've said what needs to be said, and we will see all of you on the PTS and in the queues. So with that,
Yeah.
our EPC 446 droid can get kicked out on airlock to go get ready to an unranked regs scrub queue airlock of its own, so it can float around the galaxy and broadcast this trash talk to all of you. So please, all the feed and subscribe links to newoverlords.com and to YouTube/newoverlords are out there in those two places. You can also come chat with us, as we said, in our Discord, which is newoverlords.com/Discord. Follow me on Twitter at MaxTheGray, or our channel Twitter handle, which is at the New Overlords, and we will keep you up to date for as long as Twitter continues to exist, which could be 24 hours. For the Alea Iacta Est Guild on Starforge and in all the games that we play, check out aie-guild.org. And the Discord link for that is in the upper right of the guild website. You can jump in there. We've got guilds on the Republic and the Imperial side. We don't do much ranked PvP today, but we do have people doing PvP weekly. And I think we've got a PvP night on Wednesday nights. So we can do that. And then we've got ops teams. We've got a bunch of our mandatory fun night kind of things going on every week on Tuesday nights as well. We would love to get you in there and have you come be part of our positive community, as positive as we can try to make it. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.